A warn Jack from Victor and an accusation against Phyllis from Diane. Television's young and restless. Nikki's ideas have Victoria on the young and the restless in shock today. Abby drops by Summer and Kyle's house late at night to convey her worry about the state of her marriage. Sally is working on her laptop at Newman Media when Nick walks through the door. Since it was after hours, he doubted that she would still be there. Sally is determined to show everyone that she deserves to be there, to which Nick responds, "Yeah, about that. We need to have a discussion." A man shuts the door behind him. At the ranch, Victoria inquires of Nikki as to her plans for tomorrow's absence from the workplace. She reveals that her trip to Los Angeles to visit Ridge and Eric Forrester was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She tells the Forresters that Kyle is giving Summer a second chance at their wedding by arranging a second ceremony, and she would want the Forresters to create a dress for the occasion. As a result, Victoria wonders why she doesn't just hire Fenmore's or Marchetti's staff to complete the task. Nikki stutters that she and Summer would never be able to preserve the secret. Victoria has a sneaking suspicion that there is more to this story. They may have a video conference call with the Forrest family. "I'm sorry, Mom, but I don't buy it. Why are we going on this excursion anyway?" Nikki does say that she plans to have a dress made for Summer, but it is not the sole reason for her trip. She plans on meeting with the one person in Los Angeles who might be able to help her in her mission to force Diane Jenkins to leave town. As the Deacon Sharp, the look in Victoria's eyes is agitated. When Victor entered society, he noticed Jack sitting at a table. He approaches and Jack wonders if he wants to say hello or if he just wants to throw a shadow. He offers the mustache a drink, but he doesn't think he'll want to celebrate his new employee. Victor tells him he's correct in his assessment. In the living area, Kyle discovers Summer gazing at Tessa's photo session. He protests because Adam showed up against Jack's desires, and Summer reminds him that they made a pact to do just that. Kyle comments on how much cause for celebration there is and how they have the place to themselves. He grabs hold of her and pulls her into a deep kiss. There's a knock at the Abbott home, and Kyle has to tear himself away from Summer to answer it. A furious Diane walks in and blames Phyllis for everything that's gone wrong. She goes on a tirade about how persistent Summer's mom is and how she discovered shady pricing for Marchetti's home division in a file on her computer. Phyllis quietly stored it in her computer's memory. "That girl is trying to set me up," I tell myself. Chance wants to go swimming at the Chancellor estate, but Abby is fast sleeping. He puts a blanket over her, checks the time, and jots down some notes. When Chelsea turns off the TV in her suite, it's because she can't seem to pay attention to any of the shows on it. She checks her phone and makes the call to leave the house. At night, Abby fantasizes about Chance, who she knows is taking on the investigation of a lifetime and hence must postpone their planned date night. "What you've done means the world to me." While dreaming, she questioned everything. Now what about me? However, what about our loved ones? With a start, she sits up and discovers that Chance is no longer by her side. Sharon welcomes Chance to Crimson Lights, assuming he'll need coffee to go through an overnight watch. Chance says he's not working, so that's why he's there. He's probably feeling the same kind of boredom that Ray did after solving a case, as Sharon surmises. Even though he is unsure, Chance decides to get a deck of tea. Chelsea suddenly materializes in Crimson Lights and says she could use a cup of tea too. She approaches Chance and says, "Mind if I join you?" When they've finished drinking, Sharon leaves to check on Mariah and Tessa in their room. Chelsea tells Chance that her day was hard until Billy offered her to hang out with Johnny at the pool. After returning to her suite, she says she felt lonely. Chance feels he can help her out once again, so he advises her to cut back on her drinking. A member of society named Victor is curious as to why Jack chose Adam to be his co-CEO. In his defense, Jack claims he was the most qualified candidate and could start immediately. They get along great, and his skills are undeniable. To be able to spend more time with his grandchildren, Jack needs a reliable companion. Work isn't all there is to life, and Victor concurs with you completely. Perhaps Jack hired Adam to keep him from exacting revenge, but he wonders if Adam was only a diversion. According to Jack, it's the best option for everyone involved. After a brief pause, Victor somberly says, "Remember what I'm saying you now. It was a terrible idea to hire Adam." After seeing Nick's sister at Newman Media, Sally assumes he has come to dismiss her. Nick did not give Victoria any excuses for her mistake, merely saying that he understood that there were mitigating circumstances. Sally wonders if Victoria's job security has been compromised and doubts that she is satisfied. Nick won't sugarcoat it, his sister's patience is wearing thin, and she's considering her alternatives. It's not finished yet, but he wants to show that he was correct about her after all the praise he gave her. Sally states that she has tried to rectify the matter by scheduling follow-up meetings and apologizing for her error. She has stated her intention to, and Nick is aware of it. Sally is aware that he is still considering whether or not she will be able to overcome her feelings for Adam and move on. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Victoria is fuming over Nikki's rumored interest in seeing Deacon Sharp. Nikki claims that he is the only person who can reveal Diane's whereabouts and activities over the years. He assisted her in creating the death scene and played a key role in her eventual arrest. We still have a lot of work to do. Victoria hates him and often brings up the fact that she and her mother had a drunken, terrible affair with him to her mother. "Mom, he forced you to get married to him." Nikki claims that she is now much more capable of dealing with him. Victoria is concerned that hearing this will make her need alcohol and urges her to forget about it. When Diane, Kyle, and Summer visit the Abbott home, Diane describes how Phyllis could use the file to frame her as someone trying to undermine Summer's mother. She is so passionate that it surprises both Kyle and Summer. Since joining Marchetti, Diane has been expecting Phyllis to come after her, so she begs, "Please tell me you trust me." Summer and Kyle assure Diane that they will find out the truth about the situation, but they beg her to let them handle it. Diane cries because she so desperately wants to be a decent family member. Always being on guard might be exhausting, but she finally feels heard and seen tonight. Jack tells Victor at Society that he has pulled the rug out from under Adam more times than he can keep track of. He gave him the kingdom's keys, but then quickly snatched them back to give to Queen Victoria. For his part, Victor thinks Adam only sees what he wants to see in Jack, and that he doesn't know the inner workings of his business or family. Jack is doubtful that Adam will take his demotion with grace. "You basically abandoned him, so to speak." Victor says that's not the case. It means a lot to Jack that Adam decided to take the employment offer he made. This time Victor emphasizes that it was a tremendous mistake for Jack. "He took you up on your offer only to annoy me, you know. He will go as soon as he understands he cannot provoke a reaction from him. Everyone in his family dislikes him, and now he has to work with Diane and Phyllis, so he must be exhausted." After that, Victor expresses his displeasure with Jack for hiring them. That this is in fact a continuing experiment is something Jack has admitted. He was convinced that with Summer and Kyle on the job, everything would run smoothly, so he gave his assent. Similar to how I believe in Adam, Victor extends a hand across the table and says, "I wish you luck with that." Nikki assures Victoria at the ranch that Deacon has every right to be concerned about seeing her. "You may leave this to me." Vicky finally gives in and inquires if Diane has been a source of stress. Nikki snaps that she will never change, and that she has never brought anyone any joy. She is prepared to take any necessary action to remove that woman from their midst. While Abby's call remains unanswered, Chance tells Chelsea at Crimson Lights that he can relate because he too suffers from periods of restlessness. When Sharon reappears, she frowns at seeing Chance instruct Chelsea in the breathing techniques he acquired in therapy. Nick discusses how Adam always throws everyone in his life for a loop in his Newman Media column. Despite her recent heartbreak, Sally says she will not make any excuses. "I can claim I am no one's victim." "No, you're not," Nick concurs. Sally claims she was expressing her own feelings of inadequacy and anxiety. Nick thinks of her as brave. Sally says she always believed she was destined for greatness, and she has worked hard to prove her doubters wrong. If they could see her now, Nick thinks they would be quite impressed. As she does, Sally sighs. She's been given a once-in-a-lifetime chance, but she can't help but feel like a fraud. Nick notes that she ran her own interior design firm. Sally interrupts him to point out that this is peanuts compared to the volume of business they do at Newman. She has a hard time avoiding periods of adrift. Nick makes an unpleasant expression. To put it simply, he has been there. Jack says that Victor is acting superior to him at Society. Victor is only trying to prepare him for what's to come, but it's already too late. A sage always understands when to walk away from a bad situation. With a wry grin on his face, Jack says, "I don't buy that for 1 second. The moment he gave up hope for Adam, he would have effectively given up on himself. I may say with confidence, I know better." Nikki tells Victoria that Victor is aware of and supports her objective at the ranch. He will most likely assign a security guard to keep an eye on her. They embrace after she assures him she will be cautious. Victoria leaves and Nikki calls Phyllis to reassure her that everything is ready for her trip the next day. She feels it is important to exert her own influence over Marchetti. Upon arriving at the Abbott residence, Diane requests permission to visit Harrison in his bedroom before retiring for the night. Assuming we use the same definition, Kyle concurs. When they are alone, Kyle finally decides to ask Summer her opinion. Summer feels the grand narrative is awkwardly executed. To my ears, this just doesn't add up. Kyle wonders how his mother's computer ended up with the Marchetti home file. And that may be exactly what Diane wants people to believe, Summer shrugs. Kyle probes for her thoughts on whether or not his mom is telling the truth. Summer encourages him to give it some thought. So what if Diane made up the whole file and tale to make her mother look bad and get her out of the way? I can think of more than one reasonable reason why this is happening. When Chance returns home, Abby tells him she had a nightmare and wonders where he has been. The message he had written for her landed on the floor next to the bed, where Chance may find it. Abby interprets this as an apology for causing her concern. It was to Crimson Lights that he traveled. He notices that Abby is acting strangely and he asks whether she is fine. She then says, "Not really." In Abby's opinion, they're just not clicking. Chance reassures her that everything is okay and she shouldn't worry. A passionate kiss ensues as they declare their love for one another. Nick tells Sally at Newman Media that he is having a hard time coping with what occurred with Ashland. She tells him that he's a decent person who deserves the best things in life. You have to have faith in yourself. Nick's mouth twists in an amused way. That was just what he planned to tell her. In a business-like tone, Sally proposes, "Let's strike a deal." To paraphrase, "I won't give up until I have what I want, even if you don't." Nick extends his hand to shake hers and she does so gladly. They lock gazes and share a look.